Okay, so Mick, we've heard today that long-term target for James DeGale is Andre Ward. I mean, how does James get to Andre Ward from where he is at the moment?
Absolutely. I mean, James is a major talent, and we've got a schedule over the next year to make him mandatory for Andre Ward's title. And that means fighting the best fighters out there, the likes of Mick, the likes of Kel Froch, the likes of Lucien Boutte. James wants to prove that he's the number one in the division. Carl Froch, Mick Kessler, brilliant fight, cracking fight, great clash of styles, but it is for the number two spot. It is for the number two super middleweight in the world, because Andre Ward's already proved out of sight that he's the number one, he's the best by a long way. So James has got aspirations of taking his mantle, and to do that he's gonna have to fight great competition en route to becoming his mandatory to get the Ward fight. So I honestly believe that James is the only super middleweight in the division who's talented enough when the time is right, when he's been nurtured with the right fights, when the time is right to beat Andre Ward. He's the only one who's got that sort of talent. He's proved now he's got the toughness, he's got the engine, the engine to box like solid for 12 rounds in good company. He's proved that. He's got the talent, he's going to switch on, he's going to switch up a few gears, and he's going to surprise a lot of people with the wins he gets over the next years.
Because with all due respect to James, I mean, there's a massive gulf in class between the guys he's been fighting and Andre Ward.
Yeah, but you got the last two fights he's had, were decent kids. The French kid who come was absolutely, that was his world title fight. He was absolutely possessed when he fought James. I think that night he would have gave any super middleweight in the world a hard night. You've just seen the guy from Montenegro just lost on points to Sakio Biko. I thought the French kid beat the Montenegro fighter out of sight. I thought he beat him easy. And James dealt with him with a severe injury, with a bad knee. And it was a real bad knee that hampered him in that fight, and he still beat him easy and convincingly.
And then for James, I mean, he's one of those guys that can get fights, or should be able to get fights anyway. He's looking forwards, but there's also a domestic level. There's George Groves, and there's also one of your prospects, Chris Eubank Jr., calling out James. So it's got to be difficult to know what fights. Is it just a forward trajectory you're looking at James, or are you looking for big fights with Groves and Eubank too?
Well, we would have loved the Groves fight. James asked me to make that about a month ago, and I spoke to Adam Booth. They've got other plans at the moment. I wanted to make a massive summer fight at QPR, and Adam told me that he sees it being for a world title fight in 18 months. So unfortunately we can't do what James wants now. He badly wants that fight, but we got to move on, and what he wants now is he wants to become world champion.
So he doesn't want to fight Eubank Jr.?
No, he does, and he keeps asking me for the fight. He must have asked me 15 times in the last few weeks. So he wants that fight, and obviously I think Chris Jr. has been basically pushing for the fight. So he's reciprocating and saying he wants the fight, but it's one of them situations really. It's Chris Eubank Jr. is in the early development stage at the moment, and that fight's a little way off at the moment. But when it does happen, that will fill a stadium, that fight, for sure.
There's big fights that can be made for Eubank Jr., aren't there? There's John Ryder, Billy Joe Saunders. Are you interested in those kind of fights for Chris?
Yes, I'm interested in fights. He's had a couple of 8-rounders now. He's going to move on to 10-rounders shortly. And once he has his first 10-rounder, then he's going to be ready for title shots. So in the not too distant future, he'll be competing for English titles, area titles, and then he'll be moving on to the British and Commonwealth, and that's when he'll fight the likes of Ryder and the likes of Billy Joe Saunders.
Okay, talking of title shots, Tyson Fury. Now you said that you've texted. Was it Bonte you've texted, or you've texted Klitschkos and said that Tyson would happily fight Vladimir or Vitaly? Is that right? Yeah, I've stayed in communication with Burnt, and I've made it clear for a long time now that we're going after the mandatory route. We was for Vitaly, but I've made it clear that I'm prepared to sit down and work a sensible deal out for either fighter, whether it be Vitaly or Vladimir. I've made it clear. I made it clear recently that I'd like to sit down and negotiate. We're not fussed who it is, whichever fighter. And obviously at this stage in the game, their reply was that Vladimir's got his mandatory and Vitaly hasn't made his mind up yet. So, basically,
they're obviously not looking for Tyson Fury right now, but we would love that fight, and we've made it clear.
Do you think there's any way that you could get the Klitschkos over here to fight Tyson?
Yes, I do, because at one stage in the negotiations with the Klitschkos and David Haye, they was talking about Chelsea. I think if we could get the right stadium, I think there would be interest, because I do genuinely think they love it over here in the UK. They love the response they get from the fans. They're brilliant ambassadors for the game. As far as I'm concerned, they're loved all over the world, but I think in particular in the UK, and they like it here. And I think it would be one of their long-term goals to fight in the UK. So I think it would make commercial sense as well.
So as long as Tyson's looking forward to the world title, there's not going to be any chance of a David Price fight anytime soon.
Well, look, if both Vitaly and Vladimir, if we have to sit around and wait for that mandatory slot and it takes a long time, then we will basically look at the Price fight, because believe you me, Tyson wants to fight David Price. He wants that fight. More importantly, he wants a world title fight, because that's what he's dreamed of. But he wants that fight as well. So if there is a problem with the world title fight, there will come a stage where we will make Team Price a serious offer.
Well, Tyson has been making headlines out of the ring over the last few months for his comments on Twitter. I believe he's got to go and speak to the Border Control. What do you make of how Tyson's communicated with fans and boxing followers on Twitter?
Well, look, I don't agree. I mean, I don't think Tyson should be communicating, but he if you see Tyson at shows, he's the last person out of an arena when he boxes. He's the last person out, including the security, signing autographs, having photos. He's a very fan-friendly person. He loves his fans, he respects them, he likes the fact that they like him, and he takes that seriously. But I've been absolutely shocked. There's not many things shock me in this game, but I've been shocked at the serious abuse he gets on them, social forums and stuff. It's just beyond belief. And if it was singled out at him, I'm sure he'd take it, wipe his mouth of it, and just get on with it and not retaliate. But it's not. It's aimed at his wife, his kids, his family, and it's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. He's 24 years old. He's a fighting, and at any point, sometimes enough's enough, and every now and again, he's going to lose it. Any normal person would, and that's what's happened.
Have you told him to get off Twitter, to leave it and not bother with it?
Look, I've asked him to at stages, because, by replying to these people, they're kind of winning. They're probably sitting there, because he's reacting and because he's speaking to them, they're loving it. They're riling him up. And he's bigger than that. He's doing something special with his life, and he shouldn't rise to it.
Okay. Now, another of your fighters on Channel 5 is Kid Galahad. Withdrew from the purse bids for Jazza Dickens. What was the thoughts behind that? I mean, what direction are you looking for Galahad, and why didn't Dickens fit the bill?
Just the fact that at the end of the day, it's an English title fight. He's WBC international champion. For me, he's gone way above that. And if we decide to make a fight for the WBC international title fight, whoever it is, then so be it. But he's gone past the English title fight. He's ready to fight the likes of Frampton and Quigg. He really is.
But Dickens is a good fighter too, though, don't you? I mean, it would have been a risky fight, wouldn't it, for Galahad?
Look, I haven't seen too much of him. Yes, I hear he's a good fighter, definitely. But it's for an English title, and we're being, put out to purse bids and everything else. That's not going to happen with Barry. We've got a plan for Barry, and if we pick some, it's for a reason. And yeah, he's a very good fighter, so I understand. But Barry is a special fighter. Believe you me, there's not one of them fighters in his weight that he won't deal with.
Okay, you've got your date at the Glow on March the 23rd with James DeGale. How many dates have you got this year on Channel 5?
Well, look, that's something I can't go into detail on at present. But all I'd like to say is that there's exciting things sort of like brewing up in the background, definitely. And some of the things I'm working on right now, if they come off stateside as well, it's going to be fantastic for boxing, worldwide boxing, but especially British boxers over here in the UK.
Okay, just one more question in closing. Have you got any more rabbits up the sleeve in terms of fighters that you might be signing? Is there anyone you're looking to acquire to add to your stable?
I'm looking, but I've got to be, as you know, Tris. Because of the way I'm working nowadays, I'm working with quality rather than quantity. So I'm not just looking for special fighters. I'm looking for fighters that I believe have got the X factor as well, that can cross over to a major audience. So it's a hard job. But when you've got names like Eubank, DeGale, Tyson Fury, now Kid Galahad coming through, these are all fighters that I not only believe are going to be world stars, but I believe they're going to be crossover stars. They're going to be known to someone who doesn't watch boxing in the street. Not just in the UK but in America as well.
Get involved with all the best boxing banter at our forum, and that's forum.boxingnewsonline.net.